So I guess we have a lot of VJs in here, people that are into music. So I just wanted to lightly touch on some of the audio processing and capabilities. There's a few different ways to get audio into Touch. If you look at the chops, and by the way, I just created a new file, and I have a network that's up here right now, but you don't need to necessarily create it. I'm just going to show it to you, and then we're going to create a different set of operators, because what I have there is a little complicated. So there's an audio stream chop, which is really simple. It allows you to play back an MP3 file, or a WAV file, or I don't even know all the different formats it supports. But we don't hear anything right now. Greg? I'm not sure why.
What's that?
Do we have the speakers off or something? No, I do. I already have one. Yeah. Default. Well, maybe not. Oh, there we go. Okay. So these are actually pretty cool in terms of the different devices that you can output to. If you have ASIO devices, like I've got a Motu, an old Motu at home that's got like 8 outs. I can choose individual outs with my audio out. So if I have different channels that I want to send different places, I can totally do that. Yeah, exactly. You could totally do that. And the same thing is true with the audio in. So there's an audio in device, and it's the same thing. You've got different devices. So every device that you have and every channel group that your operating system supports is going to be available in there. So same thing, if you've got multiple ins, you can use all of those with different audio ins. So if you're doing a live PA and you've got multiple tracks that are on different sends, you can totally use that, which is really handy. But for this one, I'm just going to use
audio for movies.
Audio for movies also. So if you have yeah, actually that's a good one to show.
Just drag and drop. Just drag and drop the movie from the desk.
Okay. As such.
There you go.
Okay. So, yeah, it's called the audio movie chop. What this allows you to do is extract the audio from this movie, which is handy. And so there's a few different things you can do. The analyze is actually pretty handy. The analyze chop. This allows you to do some analysis. So right now it's averaging all the information that's in this particular window, which is whatever, 735 samples. But I want to get like the peaks. So if you look at the function and the analyze chop, I've got RMS power, first peak value, maximum, average, etc., total peaks. So that you can choose how you want to handle this information. RMS power is a pretty good one for detecting amplitude. So what this network represents is Touch actually does have the ability to extract frequency information, but it's a little, it's not super usable right out of the bat, so I'm just going to step through this a little bit. The spectrum chop, if you run audio straight into it, gives you something like this, which is, what did we figure out? It's linear audio frequency, but logarithmic amplitude.
It should be logarithmic.
It's not scale, it's too wide of scale.
It's a linear scale.
Logarithmic amplitude
Yeah.
and linear frequency.
So it's actually funny. We were all sitting around the other day trying to figure out how to turn this back into something that was usable. So I'm running it through a function chop, and I'm taking the natural logarithm of the amplitude information, and so that gives me normalized amplitude levels for the audio. I also did some other chop trickery by creating some different waves, and I'm using what's called a lookup chop, which I'm not going to go into detail about. But this allows me to essentially scale the frequencies so that they're not so linear. So this is looking pretty useful. Like if you're doing a show and you want to isolate snares or bass or whatever, you've got like a nice range of information to work with here. And there's a few different ways you can use that information. One simple way is to use the math operator to just multiply a different bandpass filter essentially onto the spectrum. That's basically what a bandpass filter is, right? So you can create waves. There's a wave chop. This one is called a Gaussian wave. And then I just ran a function onto it and a function chop after it so I can adjust the curve and the shape of that. Then I've also run this into a shift chop, which allows me to sort of move my wave around. And then I'm taking my frequency information and multiplying that against this bell curve. So now I have some isolated frequencies, right? Now what I just showed you before, I took the analyze chop, taking the highest peak value and running it through a lag, which basically actually I can trail that. Sort of explain what that's doing. But basically what the lag chop gives you the ability to do is lag how quickly values either increase or decrease. So I have the first value set to 0, which means that when the number is going up, it's not going to lag it at all. And the second value is set to 0.1, but I could set it to like 2 seconds, for instance. So now you're going to get a nice sort of decay on your amplitude, which is really handy if you're trying to animate visual effects or videos or whatever, instead of it being really jittery. So just as a stupid demo, I just have the I'm just referencing a couple different frequencies to adjust the scaling of this torus. So now I've got a mega rave projection system ready to go. So it's cool because once you get this set up, again, this is a component, you could reuse it. You can go in and modify your frequency bins as needed. But even just using the RMS analyzer on just a direct input is pretty useful for most purposes.